Hello. Any moment now I should be getting a ping. Yes, I have, and that is me now being able to turn around and say to you, we are live, instead of sitting here looking delirious in the process. But yeah, for those who are new here, Cryptic Racing League. Sorry. Cryptic Racing League Season 3, round 3. Don't know why that was about to slip off my tongue, but just in case I'm wrong, I'm now getting the standings and whatnot up now for your disposal. As I can tell you one thing, it's going to be a hell of a show tonight, with Fiora holding a 9-point championship lead over Daniel in second, with your mum tied on second, but not present today. In fact, neither of the Red Bulls are present as things stand. They're meant to be present. One's apparently out and the other has just gone off the earth. Whilst in the meantime, you've got Marco, who's now retired from CRL in 4th, tied with DJ Taylor, then Fire Striker sitting in 6th in the standings on 16 points. In terms of the constructors, 3 points split the Scuderia of Ferrari, and then the Candy Floss liveried Alpine car, which sits second in the standings. Then Red Bull on 41 with Racing Bulls 30 and Williams 25, Aston Martin 8, Mercedes 4, and then McLaren 2. But without further ado, 10 cars out on track, meaning as long as they all see it to the end of the 27 laps here in Suzuka after this 18-minute qualifying session, we will be getting a handful of points across all teams in this championship, as Haas and Sauber only teams without a point so far. They're both pointless, 2 behind McLaren. As you can see, Daniel now rounding out of the triangle chicane. Up towards turn 1 they go, deploying battery for a brief moment as they journey their way down the first straight through turn 1. Tap that apex, open it up, and then go attacking it once again. Be wary of those curbs. The handling model on this game can send you out into a good old spin if you attack them a bit too much, so keeping it all tamed down through the first sector, out of the center S's and round towards the Degnas. Degna 1, then Degna 2 come quite quickly at you with a Williams right there. Had to try and get out of the way a bit quicker, could have been a bit of impeded. Then down into Dunlop curve, High Liam, High Dylan. Glad to see you both here today, but Daniel still powering on as they work their way up towards the infamous spoon curve. Sometimes put a bit too much and you will be going for a little trip. As now back onto the power up to the end of the middle sector. Daniel really not using much battery in this lap. He's just letting it all come down to hot lap mode, so that can indicate that there is much quicker to come, bearing in mind he is the only driver on a set of medium compounder tyres. Over the line goes Daniel, and to fastest so far, but that's not really too much to say about it, as he is of course the first man to set a lap. Then you have Thomas in the Mercedes trying to finesse their way through the triangle chicane up towards the final part of the lap. Over the line is a 27.8, a new fastest for the Mercedes, a good 2.4 to 2.7 quicker. I'm not awake enough to do high speed maths like that here today, ladies and gents. Maybe if they were better circumstances I'd be able to do so. But anyway, suspension in the Haas, hoping not to break their suspension as they jump over the apexes through the chicane up to the line for the Haas driver to 30.896. Yellow flags being waved as Fiora, I believe, just mounted an overtake on Ninja Boy. The Sauber does a 27.7 and Ninja Boy goes 5th with a 31.7. Then it's Vulpes in the McLaren. Over the line they go now. It's a 30.0 for them, as it's Shrek having a little trip out of the exit of all the Senna S's. And now getting back underway through the Degnas, you've got Genji heading into the final sector of the lap with an absolute best middle sector. Remember though, the fastest sectors are determined after everyone has one valid sector, but for Genji it's looking all good as he crosses the line now. It's a 28.0, it's only third fastest for the Scuderia. Then you have DJ Taylor on an invalidated lap, and Shrek on an abandoned flyer, with Firestrike having a little trip off through the triangle chicane, misses the pit entry slightly, and now aborting a possible run, as we can find Daniel working their way into the middle sector. The first sector, however, a good 6.5 tenths up in that Alpine. That is reassuring for the man on the medium compound tyres, as DJ Taylor has entered the pits after their fairly disappointing run with the invalidation coming their way. But without further ado, they will continue their journey along, as Fire Striker says. You must love the Moser wheels, as this is about the 4th weekend in 5 in terms of CRL in which he has struggled with wheel related issues, which is not ideal for a driver that is 6th in the drivers and in the direct constructors fight with both Ferrari and Red Bull in these early doors. Remember, 5 points between them both, as Daniel hoping to alleviate himself for 5th and up into 4th goes to the Alpine. Genji into the pit lane. That is a shame, as that's the Ferrari, only 3rd at the moment. If you don't remember the Legends Div, a close battle with Fiora and Genji so far in this championship. Then Genji now picking up a full-time spot here in the Elite Div as of today, as Shrek goes through the triangle chicane now, trying to get all over the throttle. Almost snapped the rear end up into 2, but over the line, and that's the Williams up into P7. That's a bit more reassuring regarding it's not been the neatest of qualifying so far, as Fiora 3 tenths up after the first 2 sectors, round the final corner up to the line now, and it's a 27.2, a good lap from the Sauber, good enough to in fact extend their advantage as provisional pole. That is not a common thing you'd see on 2 pretty much 3 lap old soft compounder tyres, as you have got Daniel still working their way around, pretty much having a little practice session in the process on those mediums. Also, it gives them an extra set of soft compounds to use in the latter stages of this session. But the highlight now focused on the man who grabbed the gold out in Hungary a week ago. He's hoping to make it 2 in 2 and go back to back here in Suzuka, which is not an easy order. Both 2 technically difficult circuits, that middle sector in Hungary being so corner heavy and then being so difficult to stay in that like train or queue and then overtaken to turn 1 or 3. Some drivers had to be very inventive last week and even go for moves at the very start of sector 3, just between the 2 double hairpins, that 90-degree right-hander. But for DJ Taylor, he's got the pace so far. First sector done, and it's a 31.7, chucks himself into the Degnas, no regrets whatsoever. If he went off into the gravel, he would have just chinned it and gone for another push. But now Dunlop curve, tapping that apex and then going straight back down on the throttle as they now just shimmy their car under the Salesforce bridge up towards Spoon Curve now. Can the Williams go quicker than the 27.2 as it stands? Of course, we'll most likely see quicker in the second half of this session, as it's only been 10 minutes of play. We've still got another 8 and 15 seconds to determine who will go to the top here, as DJ Taylor leaving the final sector out of 130R into the triangle chicane, down the gears, in fact to third, then even second, and now back up through very short gear ratios as they go up to the line, and it's a 28.2 for a banker in that Williams. Vulpes on a push at the moment, half a second quicker in the McLaren. But what about Thomas after the first 2 sectors? An absolute best for him, finding 3.5 tenths in the process as well. Can the Mercedes maybe take provisional pole away from the Sauber now around the final corner up to the start finish line? No, they won't. They will find 3 tenths, however, which is a really good effort as Shrek into the pit. So we will move our focus to the McLaren, who will be the next driver to meet us at the start finish line. Went a bit wide and got a bit squirrelish on the exit curve of Spoon, but continuing on, 1.0 quicker in this lap so far. Could definitely be a lap that shafts him up into the top 5, replaces Daniel so far around the final corner for Vulpes. What will it be for the Papaya? And the Papaya does indeed go 5th with a 28.8. Ninja Boy into the pits, missing that pit entry quite massively. Then it's Genji round the corner up to the line. It's a 27.6. It's still 4 tenths off of Fiora. DJ Taylor really attacking those curves as they work their way to the pit lane, reducing all the mileage possible. But that's safe to assume these are the middle runs determined, as one of the Red Bulls now asks if they can join. So I'm going to dash them an invite while most of these cars maneuver their way to the pit lane. As I have to try and remember what their EA is, otherwise this could go very wrong. I think it's 2 people. But yeah, as apparently it's not the one I thought. You can of course hear the typing as I am messaging away. Who's Ryan on? As yeah, you can just see cars going to the pit lane and whatnot. Matty needs an invite. Sorry for this, guys, not ideal whatsoever when they aren't showing online on their respective platforms. Becomes near enough impossible for me to invite them. Yeah, at least we ask is them to show online for us, as there's a Williams crossing the line. Don't know what lap they've just set. But yeah, final 4 minutes of qualifying as it's Shrek on a push lap. I'm going to wait until he does turn around and say he is online. He's saying I should refresh. I'm saying he should appear online. which is very contrasting verdicts, let's say. There we go, he is now showing online. That is saving me a bit of time. Then there was also a Ryan guy who sent me a friend request, so see if he's there. No, he ain't. Tough luck for that, Ryan. But anyways, back to these final runs. You've of course got Shrek going through that middle sector, hoping it can all sort itself out now, as it's all going to be about what happens between now and the start finish line. It's a second and a quarter up so far. That will drop them into the 129s. Will they have enough time come the end of it all though? We are about to find out. Round the final corner up to the line for Shrek, and it's a 129.8. It's an okay lap. That should just give him that bit of a advantage, as it's DJ Taylor now trying to seek pole. He's currently a second down. Round the final corner up to the line as per usual, and it's only enough for P4. Then you have Ninja Boy in the McLaren, 7/10 up after 2 sectors of running here. What can the Papaya do now, as it will purely be about what happens in these final few corners, and it's only going to be enough for P8 for them. As you could just see there, it was suspension going quite rowdy across the curbs. As Fiora up to the line, as the Sauber about to settle that, and it will be no improvement, but I believe it's going to be a push. I'm not too sure anymore. I'm trying to get someone in and also get the broadcasting of this under wraps, so don't judge me, I'm doing my best. But DJ Taylor will probably be going for one more run. Vulpez, however, going into the triangle chicane. Out of that now, up to the line they go, and it will be P5 for Vulpez. Then it's Ninja Boy, who's 8/10 down or whatnot, as Genji trying to get something on the board with Fiora 100th up after the first sector, as DJ Taylor says they ran out of time for another lap. As we are going to have to do a lobby reset by sounds of it, so do bear with us as Fiora around the final corner up to the line. What can the Sauber do? However, it's going to be fastest so far. Thomas giving it their all. Didn't look like a competitive first sector whatsoever, as then you've got Daniel heading into the triangle chicane. They need a subtle gain to pip himself ahead of the McLaren round the final corner up to the start finish line, and it will be only P6 for them. Vulpez just seeing this out. But yeah, Thomas, over the line, not going to set anything representable. As we will quickly grab a snapshot of that qualifying, so people cannot complain that we've done the grid wrong. As yeah, there is your starting grid. It's Fiora on pole, followed by Thomas in the Mercedes, with Genji lining up third, and then DJ Taylor down in fourth. The Williams, who won a week ago, has a tall order today, with Vulpez in fifth, as the man second in the drivers down in sixth. Then it's Shrek seventh, Ninja Boy eighth, Suspension ninth, Fast Striker with no lap in 10th, and then it will be your mum who joins us in P11 after a brief intermission with a lobby reset in the process as well. So yeah, let's just sit back, relax, and then and admire the carnage into turn one, guys. For my sake, grab a bitter whisper and eat it. At least 5. 5 striker left. Well, this is what you've all came to sit and watch. And then you've got those with finite knowledge, suspension, driving round, wondering how the hell am I leading here? As some cars definitely have not got the motto. I didn't say leave the lobby, but yeah, suspension's away with it already. We'll see how long it takes, but honestly, these guys probably will not get the motto. Knowing them, they'll take any track time up the front they can. As we will see whether or not Ninja and Suspension have a little murder between one another. They probably saw the first few corners and should. Yeah, I don't think he's got Discord up to Daniel. As Fast Striker, yes, your dumbass did decide to leave, but don't worry, you weren't the only one, as these guys actually choosing to stay in formation. I do not think they got the message. Ninja Boy down the pit lane. There's a lovely little stop. Well, I think we should leave, and then I'll quickly reboot a lobby for you. And then yeah. The McLaren wants them to go for it, kind of beneficial for their sake. Okay, let's quickly speed run CRL settings for you. As we've only got one driver who's got the message of rejoin this lobby. Hopefully sending Ninja Boy and Suspension an invite, it should jog their memory on what shenanigans is going on. Okay, so the two who didn't get the motto has now got the motto. That was always a good sign. Yes, Danny, I can see I have got two eyes, which allows me to look at two screens. So thank you for pointing out what I've already seen and mentally noted. Just because I haven't verbally asserted that in doesn't mean I haven't mentally seen it. But yeah, besides the point, let's sort out this grid a bit. Fiora could start last, can't they? As then it's going to be Genji, then after Genji is Vulpes, Daniel, by myself there. Ninja Boy is a fire striker. We could surprise them all. Shrek's asked for an invite, so we'll try and get him out of that swamp and into this lobby. Yes, a dad joke about Shrek. Did you get it? Never. Why is my sense of humour so fried? It is no longer appealing to my target audience. Yes, I know it is Shrek. Deary me, you don't have to be a bearer of such bad news, is all I can say. So yeah, let's go through this. Fiora is on pole, followed by Tom Maz, then it's Genji, DJ Taylor, Vulpes, Daniel in 6th, 7th is Shrek, 8th is Ninja Boy, 9th is Suspension, 10th is Thingy, and then yeah. I'll let them ready up already. As yeah, we will have 45 minutes of racing. Said 45 minutes will end in about 45 minutes time. Sorry, I can't do the maths. If we go underway at 22, 45 minutes, about half past 8 in the UK, we will finish. For the sake of AEST, Australian Eastern Time or whatever, that will be about 6:30 in the morning. But yeah, besides the point, we are about to go racing here in Japan. But yeah, again, for those watching, sorry for the lobby reset, not ideal whatsoever. Someone's turned around and said they forgot their setup. Game is so gone, mate. Game is so gone. Anyways, you can hear the bleeping. I can hear the bleeping. Yes, I may be blind, but I'm also not deaf. But anyways, lights flicking up now. 5 are up. And it's like that, and away we go here in CRL for Season 3, Round 3 of the Elite Division in Japan. Fiora gets to a good start. Genji also having a good start around the outside of Tomaz as Vulpes trying to tackle the race winner last week of DJ Taylor, unfortunately having to settle into a rhythm as Suspension has already lost their suspension as they've gone round, and now rejoining the race as Vulpes making a very good lunge through the centre S's up into 4th place for the Papaya. Now Daniel even going for a shot as Ninja Boy has gone for a very big trip off into the gravel, and that is most likely their race over. As we can have a look now, there's their AI now moving them back in, so that will be a race ban for a week's time, as Your Mum having a great start so far from 11th on the grid up to P7 on this opening lap. As you can now see, the tyres they have opted for in this race, all but 2 on mediums, Your Mum and Shrek on the hard compound of tyres, as we will see whether or not they can make the dream team and work their way up into a competitive position. As Daniel to the outside for 130R on Vulpes had a little look, but instead going to try and rock up to the outside for the triangle chicane. This could be a pivotal point as DJ Taylor goes for a lunge, makes contact with the Alpine as the Williams plummets down that order, but Fiora will start our second lap with the upper hand over the Scuderia of Genji, as the Ferrari sits in second place, trying to keep as close as possible, as Thomas taking a rather wide line out of the first few corners. Unfortunately though, we will have to sit and wait for a bit longer, as Ninja Boy says he retired because he put the wrong setup on. wrong setup has not only just came towards him, it also happened towards Thomas, and you can still see that Mercedes is driving effortlessly without one. And even though he's done the wrong one, he is not doing too shabby whatsoever. Only 3 seconds off the leader. He's not the furthest back, of course. There's Suspension, who's 14 seconds back on P9 alone, and we are on lap 2. So he will hopefully get into the rhythm as Daniel about to put the pressure onto Vulpes in the Papaya. As you can now see the Alpine getting closer and closer to the McLaren. Will there be a move into 130R? No, there won't. He had a little look last lap. Fortil's better not to this lap, but Genji just so close to a point where they could possibly make a little lunge. But who has made a lunge is Daniel, as Vulpes goes off to stay ahead. They hand the place back as the Ferrari now about to give us a bit of a show as they look to the outside of the Sauber. But the Sauber will not yield. There we go. English is coming back, but Your Mum up into P5 as DJ Taylor and Fire Striker having a bit of a kerfuffle through the first 2 corners. However, last time a Sauber won in CRL, we are looking all the way back at season 1 of this show, and that was all the way back in, I believe it was Mexico, the last time, about round 8 or 9, which was the last time we saw Sauber on the top step. Bless me. I don't know why I've sneezed so much. I sneezed at the start of the stream in my intro, and now it's just coming like nothing at the moment. But the Ferrari still hanging on to the Saubers. Everyone's starting to get into a rhythm. You can see that Your Mum is starting to become a bit of a traffic block to most of the field, as Vulpes 3 tenths back, then 2 tenths to DJ Taylor, then a half a second to Fire Strikers. Could there be a lunge? Your Mum fends to the inside as Vulpes trying to make that Papaya car as wide as possible, whilst the Golf liveried Williams hoping to put a hole in one into turn 1 on the McLaren. As they close in, they'll pull to the inside. Will they end up being on par? They make a lunge and it could be looking at an eagle. It will not be on par, it will be a bogey instead. Yes, trying to use my golf terminology. Haven't touched a golf club since I was about 10, and that was when I was doing like mini golf at Chessington or whatnot. As that really does bring back some old memories 7 years down the line. However, talking about 7, that currently is being occupied by DJ Taylor, who is of course that golfer. Yes, I'm now trying to waffle about literally everything I can to fill up this race. Wow, it's Fiora and Genji on hot pursuit to that finish line. They're focusing on getting to the end sooner than anything else. As yeah, the Sauber again a good 8 tenths clear of the Ferrari under braking on those mediums, about to work their way towards turn 1. Will we see a little swap in positions? They're closing in, just not getting close enough, as we will see how it all goes now, as that Ferrari a bit closer than they were a lap or so before, which really is getting a bit heated, to say the least, as of course they've had their moments of tension in the Legends Div, which is of course Mondays for you all. But then you also think back to the other races, such as the pre-seasons and whatnot, It's just so much going on between these two out on track. This is about their 7th race between them since this season has started. That's all I can say, is they have gave us a show in whatever div they are racing in. But now a bit closer for the Ferraris. Sorry, I was just a bit misguided by my phone, hence why that kind of went off on a little tangent. But now that tangent is going to send us back to the course starting point as we work our way up towards turn 1. The Ferrari closing in, just not close enough once again, but who may be a bit closer is DJ Taylor on Vulpes. The Papaya has now got the challenge from the Williams, who'll go to the outside. They look to the inside only a lap ago. They will get the job done on the outside, as that is fair dues from DJ Taylor. Now they are on that hunt for the Red Bull just up the road, as they are sporting their Suzuka livery today. A nice livery at a great track as well. But again, only a matter of time to see what will happen between them. Of course, that Red Bull fighting the two Alpines today for their spots in the championship, and also Ferrari trying to manage a one-horse show up front with Genji as Ryan, who's your Monday commentator, loves to call him Jenguzi, which is quite confusing. Ha ha ha. No. I've got such dead humour, but that's what you want, no? A bit of shits and giggles is the best way to put it. However, yellow flags being waved as that is Suspension, who has gone under the bridge and had a little spin of their own. That's only going to put them about 45 seconds back, as there was a good lunge attempted by the Ferrari. That is a very close move, but there's going to be DJ Taylor promoting themselves up into P5 in this race. A very easy move for the Williams, as they are hoping to shift their focus over to the top 4 now, and that hunt for the lead. However, DJ Taylor's got about 12 seconds to the likes of Fiora or whatnot if they want to try and put themselves back into this race. The confidence the Williams may have may be a bit diminished after a rocky start, and now only being back up into the top 5 on lap 7, but he will definitely give it their all to try and hunt down the cars ahead and bring themselves back into this race. As they are closing in to Daniel, you could just see that Alpine entering Spoon Curve as they were coming round that long swooping right-hander, and now out of Spoon Curve we go. You can see the Mercedes and the Alpine working their way up through the valley up towards 130R, as we've got quite a nice long range shot of this battle for third. Soon, hopefully, we will have it a three-way fight, as there's yellow flags for Suspension once more, as they are about to get lapped by your race leaders. They are going into the centre S's as the Haas departs them. That's a good 20 odd seconds between them out on track. Of course, from the Haas, not from the Sauber. That gap is about a minute 25 already in this race. But now Daniel on the back of the Mercedes, probably quite close regarding the part of the lap it is, but your mum managing to keep up with DJ Taylor quite nicely. The Williams car not really pulling away in such a manner they did so out in Hungary, which is a shame for them, but for their championship I don't think they can really complain, as irrespective they will be closing in to that Red Bull in the drivers. Your mum on 27 points, DJ Taylor on 25 after your first two races today. That should hopefully be flipped on its head, as DJ Taylor should go ahead of them on countback. As I'll be brutally honest, it's not as competitive of a season than Season 2. Season 2, this div literally looked almost like it was straight out of PSGL. So many esports quality drivers tuned in with us and gave us such a great show for a very short opening season of the Elite Div. That was only 5 races. At least you now have 10 races of it today, but Genji, Vulpes and Suspension all making their first stops in this race. Only on lap 8 does look like a 2-stopper in this race. However, if you can manage those tyres ever so slightly longer than the rest, you could definitely make it into a 1-stoppers. There's Vulpes leaving the pits now. Shrek has got the man fighting for the lead right behind him. So for Fiora to take this extra lap or 2 out on track, it should really be helping them against the Ferraris. You can see just how poised that Scuderia is going to be as they all look for a move into the Dunlop curve. To the outside goes Genji, round the long way on Shrek, and that has definitely put the Williams in the mud, as now Genji can focus on Fire Striker for the hunt for 6th place here today. As the Alpine, of course, probably bound to pit in a matter of laps time, as Fiora has opted to stay out for at least one more lap in this race. The Sauber thinking it could be worth taking it longer, as Thomas and Daniel into the pit lane, and DJ Taylor staying out, and that gives them a great opportunity as they are now cleared of the traffic coming up, as Genji getting 3 seconds in that Ferrari, not ideal, as Daniel going to the soft compounds as through goes the Scuderia, galloping that prancing horse up into 4th place once again, 8.7 seconds back on your mum in the Red Bull now. So this will be a race as of when they end up meeting. But for all we know, Suspension has ended their race 10 laps into the 27. As for those interested in their football, match day 8 of the Champions League has hasn't yet, but will be beginning in about 3 minutes time. 18 fixtures in 2.5 hours. And so many places up for grabs. I will in fact be jumping on to a watch along with one of my mates, as he's planning to stream all games in a multi-screened display, as we'll talk about goals, who we think will go through, and all that jazz. So if I can grab the stream link, I will chuck it into that CRL server afterwards. If you're interested to, of course, join CRL, add HJMB_260408 on Discord, or even drop a message on one of the YouTube posts, TikTok posts, and we'll answer. But Daniel definitely putting a message through to the Mercedes that he has got some work to do, as the Mercedes now behind the Alpine driver, but soft compared to the hards. You'd almost anticipate that to have came their way, as 3 drivers, as things stand, yet to pit in this race. That's Fiora, DJ Taylor and Shrek. So the 2 Williams opting to extend their strategies a bit longer than most would hope, whilst Fiora and DJ Taylor are definitely attempting to make the 1-stop work here today. As if they can do that, they should be very nicely set up for a race win. we will see what will happen when Fiora comes in. As we will see, hopefully, I want to say in the next 2 laps, if Fiora pits, that should be when those mediums fall apart. But you can just see that Sauber starting to get a bit wobbly as your mum has overtaken Vulpes into that first corner. The Red Bull up into 7th as there's a big snap from the Australian in that Alpine, lucky to have kept it all under control. But now Thomas will be desperate to pile the pressure on to the Alpine as they hunt down the Williams, who's only 2 seconds up the road on those older hard compounder tyres. But you can just see Daniel fighting for dear life on those soft compounder tyres, whilst Thomas looking quite cool, like a bag of ice, to say the least. A very cliche metaphor or simile, but really does do the job as Daniel all over the back of Shrek as Fiora has now entered the pit lane. What will DJ Taylor do? Will they follow the Sauber's footsteps, or will they try and extend a bit longer and go for a shorter final stint, try and find some time in that manner? But the Williams will join the race leader into the pit lane, as it will be a matter of fact who will come out ahead, Genji or Fiora. As you can now see the Ferrari working up towards turn 1. They will be shy, but they'll carry the momentum into the first corner, so do expect a pounce in a matter of moments time. But who will pounce now is Daniel on Shrek. To the inside goes the Alpine up into P3 with Thomas almost following through and threading that pass quite nicely, as DJ Taylor coming out behind Vulpes in that McLaren. That will be frustrating to say the least, as the Williams has got even more work to do now, as Genji has gone off and retired. There is a fully blown safety car now. The Ferrari off in the gravel trap. Rather interesting to see how they got there, as that is not a normal place to end the race whatsoever. As Daniel will now be promoted to 2nd place, as we will get our 2nd safety car of this race. The last one, I believe, was just a VSC, however. But for Shrek, this is great for Williams, a free pit stop, and that could definitely put him quite nicely with DJ Taylor in terms of strategy. The 2 Williams being now on par with each other, they could be on a little hunt for the win. For the sake of Daniel, great opportunity to chuck on the hard compounder tyres and take it to the end. As you can see, your mum just making themselves known in the Mercedes mirrors, as we will see what the Alpine does do at the end of this lap. Yep, into the pit lane they go. Shrek also following them through, as almost everyone else will stay out. But Vulpes darts to the pit lane. They're like, you know what, I'll get rid of those mediums. That puts me onto the hards to the end, as that really does seem like the way in which drivers want to be going. As the McLaren going to the soft compounds instead and serving a stop and go. So maybe this is planned strategy. Go and serve that stop and go, then go out and chuck on a new set of boots on, give them less time out on that racetrack, and therefore that upper hand. But I just don't see the softs making it 13 laps of this race whatsoever. But yeah, I'm just doing a few admin-y things while we sit and go through this safety car. But yeah, all in all, we have got a race coming along in a few moments' time. But yeah, now we wait. Daniel says wait. Wait for what? I've not really been following. Alpine take lead of constructors. Yes, they should, as long as there ain't a double DNF on your behalf and you end up fumbling the bag to that one Red Bull. Then, if that happens, it's still on. As Daniel does not like that thought whatsoever. As I quite fancy it. I think that's a very good move if that was to happen, but of course we've still got at least 12 laps of racing, as I will probably end up sitting up come the end of this safety car, as things could get very heated with drivers now neutralised in this race. And someone much fresher tyres than others, for example Thomas and Fire Striker and your mum, 4+ lap old tyres, and then even your mum has that challenge of trying to take the mediums to the end here today. As we will see whether or not the safety car lights will turn off. Yes, they have. Safety car in this lap reports race control. So Fiora has the duty. You can now see how many cars all piled up behind as Thomas trying to get wheel to wheel with that Saubers. They now go through the final corner. Fiora waiting to make the run up towards turn 1. The Sauber now throws their shot, drops the mic and runs away with it, as trying to break the toe up towards the first corner. Will there be any moves so far? Your mum looking to the inside on Thomas, didn't opt for it in the end as the two Alpines cooperate. No collisions or whatnot between them, but your mum going around the outside in turn 3 on the Mercedes, going to give it absolutely everything they've got against the Silvaro. They go slightly wide. DJ Taylor trying to get in on the action in the Golf painted Williams now, as there's contact between the Red Bull and the Mercedes. They'll look for a move into the Degners. Your mum to the inside of Thomas. He'll make the lunge and he will be through. A brilliant move by the Red Bull as off goes DJ Taylor. That's got Daniel all over the side of him, and now Vulpes to the outside for the Dunlop hairpin. Will they be able to hold on? However, in that Papaya, they've got the softs. They will have that upper hand, and up into 5th place now for Vulpes. Could they maybe even make this better for the Papaya outfit? As now through Spoon Curve to the inside of Daniel, and that is them past the Australian as DJ Taylor has disconnected. I'm going to quickly dash them another invite, and then if they ask for further ones, we will just have to bear with it all and cooperate, as we cannot be affording to lose more drivers in this race. As you can see, the McLaren and that going and banging wheels. But I'll just keep seeing if DJ Taylor does come online. If not, he will have to message. He will have to message if he wants to be added back, as DRS is now enabled. But you can just see Fiora 3.5 seconds clear at the moment. They're all fighting for that second place in this race now, as Vulpes in the McLaren on the softs, still poised to make some ground. But there's Daniel getting a good run on the outside of Your Mum through the exit of the S's and to the inside in the Degners, both of them going off, and off goes Your Mum. The Red Bull into the gravel trap now. They will be rejoining. They probably won't be happy about that whatsoever as they try rejoining and then get a pinch, and that sends them back off on the wrong spiral. But you can even see Shrek versus Fire Striker, the tyre delta, really proving the benefit for the Williams car as they try to look to the inside. They didn't make a lunge in the end that time round, but Your Mum now just overtaking that Williams, as we will quickly double check to see if that Williams has now came back online, and if so we'll send them another invite. But there could be a good chance they end up turning around and saying, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to be anywhere in this race. You can take it as a DNF. But Vulpes now onto the main straight. Thomas has got the job of trying to defend once more, as you can see Shrek to the inside of Firestrike, and that is them up into P5 for Williams, doing everything they can when their teammate faces technical issues, which is not ideal whatsoever for their constructors, but it should lift them above Racing Bulls in this championship, as now it's a Williams in P5. That's double digits going their way here today. As for the sake of the constructors, after today, as long as Fiora finishes, it will only be Haas left on 0 points, which is not ideal whatsoever, regarding they were last in both divisions entering the race on Monday, and they'll still be last in one division come the end of the events of today. But now Vulpes versus Daniel. Will there be a move on the McLaren? Not on the McLaren, on the Alpine. I know what I'm on about, I just can't phrase it right at the moment. As we tick into the final 10 laps, whilst Fiora 7 seconds up the road in that Sauber. They have completely left the rest of the field in the dust, as it looks so adamant that the Sauber will take the win today, and that will give Sauber a massive boost in the championship, up to 6th in the drivers' standings, not drivers, constructors' standings, with Mercedes tucking in right behind them with like 2 points between them. McLaren also pushing themselves up past Aston Martin. Aston Martin in fact drops down to 9th, and then Haas goes to 10th. But yeah, that just shows some big developments in this championship. However, Alpine being the most consistent of them all, getting those points when need be. They average 21.5 points a race. Currently today, they are scoring 23, so they are still matching that average and going on to take the constructors' lead as things stand. As there's Vulpes to the inside, remove 3 points of that tally I said for that brief second, but the Alpine on the hards just able to hold it to the inside and keep the place, as Vulpes will definitely start struggling for the tyres roundabout now, as this could be absolutely pivotal, with Daniel still all over the back of Thomas in the Silver Arrows as they go through 130R into the braking zone for the chicane, as Fiora a 130.290 in that Sauber, new fastest lap of the race on those hards. Surely that means the likes of Daniel could go quicker, as into the pits comes the Red Bull of Your Mum. That is going to put more confidence in my favour that they will come 7th, as long as things don't change. They might as well see it to the end, as that will be points in Red Bull's championship campaign, with them sitting in 3rd and forfeiting points to Alpine, and it should send them ahead of the Scuderia, as DJ Taylor says there's a power outage. That's why he has got to drop out of this race. That is such a shame for the Brit. He was looking so comfortable in that Williams car. He gave us a great show while he was here, and he even admitted he forgot his setup for the race. That's why he was not his perky self, as DJ Taylor may actually turn around and say, can I get another invite? Because in CRL, as long as you have control when your car crosses the line, he will be allowed to register that result. So yes, he has just asked for that invite, so I will send it. So Williams will be getting a double points finish with the way things are going. But how good of a points finish will it be? Because of course DJ Taylor 20 seconds back on the field and has got your mum in the Red Bull catching on fresh mediums. Could they just go for fastest lap? Maybe is theirs. Daniel being the quicker car into the first corner, taking a wide line, and now that allows the Papaya to fight back against the Alpine. A little bit of a squeeze by Daniel and then covered off through turn 3. Now it's turn 5 and 6 and then 7, just back and forth, as DJ Taylor says he's got an error, so I'm going to have to send another one whilst these two go dueling through the Degners now. But Daniel looks like he's got so much more comfort in the car, especially with the tyres now swaying in their favours. DJ Taylor has now joined, as your mum has gone to overtake him. Just means we will have to wait it out a bit more before we can see some of the action. But yeah, DJ Taylor will hopefully take back over that Williams any time now, and we would quite like to see that, just because it somewhat begins their redemption arc in this race. But for the time being, DJ Taylor will not be back in that cockpit as of now, as he said, how do I drive? As I've just turned around to him and said, spectator menu is how you drive. Because yeah, you then go to spectator menu, then you can pick out who you want to take control of or whatnot. And then yeah, that's how you make the fix. So the Williams now back in their car, which is always nice to see. But Daniel all over the back of Thomas for Alpine to maybe get a P2 here today. They've got one podium this season, and I believe that was a third place in your season opener. In fact was, as Fiora has had 2 second places this season, both for the Scuderia, and missed out on the win in both races. Now they're core rivals of DJ Taylor and Marco, who nabbed those wins in Australia and Hungary, having faults or have now departed, opens that door for that Sauber to have such a commanding drive. 14 seconds at the moment, and there's still five laps to go before we determine our winner. So it does look quite certain that Fiora will take a win in the Sauber today. And then it will be a question as to whether or not they can continue that form in Abu Dhabi in a week's time. Then you go to Miami, then it's Saudi Arabia, Brazil, Belgium, Monza, and then you round things up with Sakir, as Shrek gets 3 seconds for track limits in this race, as Daniel all over the back of Thomas. He is getting closer and closer by the corner. The gap 2.5 tenths a moment ago, now up to 4 tenths and 5 tenths, as the dirty air really starts to kick in through those lower speed corners. But yeah, Kairat has scored against Arsenal, says Jerby Streaming. Thank you for that update, as I believe that should be the Twitch account in which it's all getting streamed off of. If not, then I can give you a brief rundown of scores. Arsenal currently 2-1 up against Kairat after 19 minutes. Athletic Club drawing to Sporting 1-1. Atletico Madrid 1-0 over Bodo Glimt. Copenhagen's beating Barcelona 1-0. Leverkusen's beating Villarreal 1-0. Club Brugge beating Marseille 2-0 as Daniel trying to rock Thomas, just like Kairat has just rocked Arsenal a bit with a shock goal up towards turn 1 now. Can the Alpine overtake the Mercedes? No, they won't, as the Mercedes slams the door shut, sends Daniel into spin. They will rejoin just in third place. But continuing on with the updates, Club Brugge beating Marseille 2-0, Liverpool beating Karabakh 1-0, Man City beating Galatasaray 1-0, Paphos beating Slavia Prague 1-0, PSG beating Newcastle 1-0, and Chelsea beating Napoli 1-0. So there's your updates, as a bollard smashed up by the Alpine, driving with absolute anger in that car now, as they are frustrated that they may now be losing a second place here today. It took them so long to get into that overtaken position. It ended up all falling flat on its face, but Shrek and Firestriker in this fight over fourth place as things stand. They've got Vulpes just up ahead, being the main factor in which it's causing some hold up. But Vulpes not doing a bad job whatsoever at keeping up with the two on the podium. But there's Daniel overtaking within a lap of getting spun round by that Mercedes, just showing pure skill, as there's a big moment for Thomas. He got all over that sausage curb on the exit of 130R, sent him for a little ski trip into the viewers. There's Shrek and Firestriker going wheel to wheel, banging wheels for a brief moment as well, but the Williams holding on to that P5 on the Alpine, as we could be facing round 2 in a few moments time. But we have got round 2 between Thomas and Daniel, as Daniel now drops into third place. But it's all going down in these dying embers. 3 laps to go, and still 5 places to be determined in this race. Of course, 4th, 5th and 6th to be determined, and then 2nd and 3rd also to be determined. But Vulpes is catching up to Daniel and Thomas with these two of Shrek and Firestriker tucked in behind. This could end up being a 5-way fight come the final lap if it continues the way in which it is. It's been all out aggression so far tonight from these lot, and it's really kicked into overdrive with the dying phases, as there's Daniel looking to the inside through Spoon Curve, thought better about it, and now will use the run down towards 130R. He'll go to the outside of 130R and will pull ahead of Thomas. Will Thomas play for the DRS? He'll hold the inside and will back off from the Alpine, giving themselves the DRS advantage. As you can see, Shrek putting that pressure on to the soft compound runner of Vulpes. I'm surprised those tyres have even made it that long, as there's a big snap from the Williams, and through goes Firestrike up towards turn 1. However, it's going to be Thomas trying to fight back on Daniel Rocks to the inside. I think there may have been a double move from the Alpine, as they're both throwing fists at each other like it's babies throwing dummies at one another. As Firestriker goes into that gravel trap, and that looks like it's P5 sorted, as DJ Taylor going into the pit lane to try and set fastest lap. Unfortunately, that means nada in CRL. No fastest lap point or quali points this season due to the somewhat failed attempt in boosting the points haul last season with them. Just didn't really get enough interest in those factors, so we've scrapped it for this season. But Daniel still giving their all against Thomas, as Firestriker will probably be borderline furious that their race may have to end in such way, as your mum gets 3 seconds for track limits. As I will try and get up penalties, you can see they're all 3 seconds, so whatever happens now will literally be your finish position in that top 4, as Daniel on the back of Thomas. Can the Alpine overtake? But you can see Shrek overtaking Vulpes. He'll have the outside for 130 yards. The McLaren holds the inside. The Williams going off the road and will pick up DRS for the run to turn 1 as Daniel has overtaken Thomas. I don't believe he actually picked up that detection zone. The Alpine has got DRS towards turn 1, so that saves them the pain of fighting that Mercedes as Shrek to the outside of Vulpes and through they go on the final lap of this race, as it's still all to play for second place here today. It's not done yet, as Daniel and Thomas could still have a switcheroo, but whose position is set in stone is this Saubers, who's going through Spoon Curve for the final time. They have completely walked through it like it's a simplistic game of football. Put it like Real Madrid versus Accrington Stanley. That kind of dominance from Fiora as they now go into the triangle chicane after 2 consecutive second places at Ferrari. As a reserve, goes to Sauber for a reserve appearance and will win in Suzuka, with Daniel and Thomas still going at it. Half a second between the two of them. Can the Mercedes overtake the Alpine? This is really their last chance, so it will have to be an optimistic move, making the use of all the battery they've got to the outside for the triangle chicane. They'll brake later than the Alpine, but the Alpine's going to get their elbows out as they bang wheels. Off goes Daniel and through goes Thomas. That could be investigated as the Mercedes will come home P2. Daniel will come home P3, whether he likes it or not, as Shrek will take 4th. That becomes 5th as Vulpes crosses within 3 seconds. Then it's Fire Striker in 6th. Your Mum comes home 7th as DJ Taylor hoping to set the fastest lap of the race. 1.8 seconds improvement so far for the Williams. Can they do it? It's all going to come down to these final 3 corners, whether or not he'll be able to perfect the arts of setting the fastest lap round the final corner now for DJ Taylor to come home P8, and he will get the fastest lap in the process. A last lap job done, and fair play to the Williams. But Fiora happy with their first CRL win in this Elite Div season. It took them 3 races, but better late than never when leading the championship, as Fire Striker annoyed that they rode the curb a bit too much through turn 2, hence causing the chaos which unfolded. As there is your podium. Your winner, of course, Fiora, followed by Thomas in 2nd. Daniel comes home in 3rd with Vulpes 4th, Shrek in 5th, Fire Striker 6th, Your Mum 7th, and DJ Taylor in 8th, with Genji in 9th, Suspension 10th, and Ninja 11th. Those 3 all out of the race. But for now, that's been me. I hope you've all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.